At 1,630 hours, a Ukrainian MiG-29 screams across occupied Donetsk at just 150 meters above the ground, racing toward the dam at Kurakhove that the Russians have turned into a critical supply highway. The pilot has used every fold of the Dnipro River valley to stay hidden, but that cloak of invisibility is about to be ripped away. Unseen by him, 3 separate Russian air defense systems already have his jet painted. An S-400 battery's gravestone radar has locked him at 38 kilometers to the northeast. A Tor M2 short south of the river is tracking hard, and a Buk M3 to the east is warming its illuminators. The overlap is murderous, any one of them can turn an aircraft into burning confetti. The pilot's eyes are glued to the reconnaissance feed streaming from a drone overhead. The dam is packed with Russian trucks, but Ukrainian civilian drivers are visible among them. The strike has to happen now, before the next convoy with forced local labor arrives. He follows the river valley at 880 kilometers per hour, using the natural depression and surrounding hills to mask him from radar. In 8 more minutes the valley ends, spitting him into flat, open farmland for the final 8 kilometers to the target, what pilots grimly call the shooting gallery. Terrain rushes beneath the HUD at 236 meters per second. Power lines flicker past faster than thought. He is flying on pure instinct, hands correcting before the brain fully registers danger. This is not flying, this is controlled falling with style. The SPO-15 radar warning receiver paints threats like an angry compass. The S-400 is still in search mode, giving lazy, slow sweeps, about 2.5 Mississippis between pulses, roughly 45 to 50 kilometers out and curious, but not yet committed. The Tor and Buk are quieter for now. Fuel shows 2,400 kilograms remaining, home is 142 kilometers away. At low-level military power that gives him maybe 18 minutes over the area before he becomes a pedestrian. Every afterburner burst or hard evasion will eat that margin alive. His centerline hammer glide bomb runs its diagnostics every 5 seconds, GPS strong on 12 satellites, INS aligned, rocket motor armed. The hammer needs altitude to reach the dam from safe distance, altitude he does not have while hugging the earth. Worry about dessert after the house stops burning. 8 kilometers to the valley's end. The drone feed shows no helicopters inbound, no fighters scrambled, yet. He nudges the throttles forward, trading noise for seconds. 1,638 hours. The valley opens. The SPO-15 erupts from lazy beeps into a solid, hateful tone. The gravestone has snapped from search to track to hard lock at 38 kilometers, 8 seconds, that is all the time a trained Russian crew needs from detection to launch. The pilot has 8 seconds to live unless he does something drastic. He rolls 90 degrees into a knife-edge turn, pulling 7 gs while keeping the jet at 150 meters. The maneuver puts his velocity vector perpendicular to the S-400's Doppler radar, radial velocity drops to 0. To the gravestone he suddenly looks like stationary ground clutter. The lock breaks, but the turn bleeds speed and points him away from the target. Everyone now knows exactly where he is. Instantly the Tor M2 8 kilometers south lights up. Unlike the S-400, the Tor uses command guidance, the missile is brainless, steered entirely by the ground radar. Jamming the missile itself is useless, you have to break the ground radar's lock. The pilot snap rolls left, dives to 50 meters, trees blurring beneath the canopy, and slams the chaff button twice. First burst, 2.5 centimeters dipoles tuned for the S-400's X-band. Second burst, 4.3 millimeters dipoles for the Tor's Ka-band. A glittering corridor blooms behind him. At 50 meters he is lost in ground clutter anyway. His thumb flips the ECM pod switch. The SPS-141 analyzes the Tor's frequency in milliseconds and begins range gate pull-off. It paints a bright false target right on top of the MiG, then slowly walks that ghost away while the real jet fades into the weeds. On the Tor operator's screen the Ukrainian fighter appears to climb gently northwest while the actual MiG schemes treetops southeast. The Tor buys the lie. 50 meters is borrowed time. One unseen pylon, one unexpected rise, and the accident report will read, controlled flight into terrain. The minimum release point for the hammer is now 4 kilometers ahead. He has seconds to decide. He decides on chaos. At 1,640 hours he lights both afterburners and pulls straight up. The twin RD-33s roar, orange flames stabbing 6 meters behind the nozzles. From invisible he becomes the brightest thing in eastern Ukraine. Every radar operator within 80 kilometers spills his tea. Inside the S-400 command vehicle the operator watches the target leap from ground clutter to a hard climbing contact, altitude 1000 m. 2000 m, rate 330 m/s and still accelerating. Fingers fly across the console. 248 N-63 missiles are selected, tubes flood, authorization granted. Launch in 5, 4. The MiG climbs through 5,000 meters in 18 seconds, sustained 4 Gs crushing the pilot into his seat. Vision tunnels, arms weigh 100 kilos each. He adds a barrel roll, corkscrewing upward in a helix no fire control computer was trained to predict. Intercept solutions chase their own tails. 3 separate batteries achieve lock at once, S-400, Buk, M3, and the stubborn Tor. The RWR no longer bothers identifying threats, it simply screams. The pilot rolls inverted at the top, pulls through in a lunatic half-cubinate, and for 2 precious seconds levels the wings at 5,000 meters. Green lights across the hammer's panel. GPS solid, INS aligned, seeker cold, warhead armed. He mashes the pickle button. 250 kilograms of French precision separate with a clunk. The MiG leaps upward, suddenly light. The instant the bomb is gone he rolls inverted again and pulls, 9.5 Gs, airframe creaking, something in the left wing root protesting. The jet dives like a spear. From 5,000 m to 500 m in 8 seconds, passing Mach 1.1. Shockwaves hammer the airframe. The 2 inbound S-400 missiles try to follow a target that suddenly reversed from climb to supersonic dive, their seekers lose lock below minimum angle and self-destruct high above. The hammer's own rocket motor ignites, pushing the bomb higher while the MiG runs for the deck. The Buk M3 fires at the climbing weapon, mistaking it for the escaping fighter, $1 million missile chasing a bomb that cannot maneuver. Good luck. The pilot levels at 100 meters, threading between hills, terrain masking home. Fuel reads critical after the afterburner climb, he nurses the throttles like a miser. Far behind, the hammer reaches its apogee at 8,200 meters and tips over. The infrared seeker uncages, instantly finding the white-hot stripe of sun-baked concrete against cold reservoir water. Shape recognition confirms dam. GPS confirms coordinates. Tiny fins tweak trajectory by millimeters that translate to meters on the ground. 8 kilometers away a Ukrainian drone operator zooms his camera and starts recording for Telegram. 7, 6, 5. The hammer strikes the center of the dam at 340 meters per second. The smart fuse senses dense concrete and triggers. 89 kilograms of high explosive turn into a 300,000 psi hammer blow. Concrete vaporizes. The far side of the dam bulges and bursts outward before the near side finishes collapsing. A 60-meter gap opens in the first minute as water scours the breach wider. 3 months of Russian battalion-level logistics across the crossing vanish in less time than it takes to tell the story. The MiG is already a fading sonic boom heading west, fuel gauge flirting with zero, pilot grinning like a madman under his oxygen mask. Mission complete. Supply artery severed. One dam that will never again carry Russian trucks. Somewhere far behind, confused Russian officers stare at an unexpected lake where their highway used to be, and a very tired Ukrainian pilot calculates exactly how gently he can land with almost no gas left. He'll make it. Barely. And tomorrow the Russians will have to drive an extra 47 kilometers around the new reservoir they never asked for. Bye for now.